Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com, setting the record straight about climate. I saw a great headline on Google News this evening. Here's why scientists are working so hard to keep warming below 2 degrees Celsius. So I pictured a bunch of scientists in white lab coats sitting at Earth's control panel, frantically working to keep warming below 2 degrees Celsius, wiping sweat off their brows, knowing that survival of the planet is dependent on them keeping warming below 2 degrees Celsius. But meanwhile, back in the real world, in 1986, NASA's James Hansen made his first appearance before Congress. Overheating of Earth poses survival threat. Scientists are warning Congress that the long-theorized, life-threatening overheating of the Earth from man-made air pollution is now a frightening reality. The fact that the greenhouse effect is real is proven, said James Hansen, director of NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies. Hansen said the average U.S. temperature has risen from 1 to 2 degrees since 1958 and is predicted to increase an additional 3 or 4 degrees sometime between 2010 and 2020. And all of this is going to happen before the year 2020. So basically we're looking at 4 to 6 degrees warming in the next 10 weeks. But let's look for a minute at Hansen's claim that the average U.S. temperature has risen 1 to 2 degrees since 1958. Remember that he gave this presentation to Congress in 1986. This is a graph Hansen published of U.S. temperatures in 1999. The left circle shows 1958 and the right circle shows 1986, when Hansen gave his testimony to Congress. Where did Hansen get 1 to 2 degrees warming out of that? It was about 0.1 C. He was off by nearly a factor of 10. And why did he cherry pick 1958 as his start year? Why didn't he start back here in the 1930s? Had he started here in the 1930s, he would have shown nearly half a degree Celsius cooling. Hansen was misrepresenting the past, and he was also misrepresenting the future. When the subsequent warming he predicted didn't happen, he simply changed the data. Shortly after the year 1999, NASA and NOAA changed the U.S. temperature data to create a long-term warming where previously it was a long-term cooling. They made a bunch of excuses for this data tampering and published them in peer-reviewed papers. Nixon called this plausible deniability. This data tampering was necessary to keep the public from learning that James Hansen had no idea what he was talking about. So they took the measured data in blue, they cooled the past and warmed the present to create a warming trend where there isn't any in the actual data. And this graph shows the adjustments that are being made. Temperatures before the year 2005 are cooled progressively more as you go backwards in time, and recent temperatures are being rapidly increased upwards. So scientists aren't working hard to limit warming, they're working hard to create it where it doesn't exist, because their funding depends on it. And the only control knob for temperature which these scientists have is their software, which creates the fake data. And how would scientists control the temperature anyway? They're just sitting in their office playing with computer models. They would be more productive playing Minecraft. And I wish these scientists would send some of their heat-trapping CO2 down here to Colorado, as we're facing record cold in a couple days. No, scientists aren't working hard to keep warming below 2 degrees Celsius. What they're actually doing is working hard to make fake graphs to make it look like Earth is warming towards 2 degrees Celsius. Their funding and their prestige depends on it. The people creating these fake graphs are the same climate modelers who made the forecasts of doom originally. They have a conflict of interest. It's like having a Little League team who also serve as the umpires and scorekeepers. I don't think anyone would put up with that. The difference, of course, being that there are actually some good players in Little League. Superstitious people have always wanted to believe that someone else controls the weather and climate. In the 16th century, thousands of witches were burned at the stake for cooking the weather. The Salem witch trials were likely a response to bad weather. But climate alarmists are much more sophisticated now. They know that Republicans cause bad weather, not witches. Fortunately, they have their scientists at the control panel working 24/7 to rescue them. Reality is that climate modelers are not working to keep temperatures down. They're doing everything they can to create the appearance of a lot of warming. They have no interest or motivation to end the climate crisis scam. Visit Toto on the web at realclimatescience.com. He's been pulling back the curtain on junk science and propaganda for a long time.